Hello, everyone. Dr. Nikhil Verma here with another edition of Things I Didn't Learn in Med School. And yeah, it has been a while. um, a series of unfortunate events and unconnected events have been kind of taking place around my life, in my personal life. And that's kind of made me put a pause to some of the things that are going on with this YouTube channel. And there was also things going on in my practice that have been a little more challenging and took some extra time to navigate through. And um, I've been allowing myself to try to decompress in ways of, playing a lot of golf and catching up with friends and family. And um, I just hadn't been dedicating the time to do this channel. And, really puts perspective of, when you see these people doing multiple videos a day and putting the time, energy, and effort into it, and how do they have time for all these other things or anything else in their world? It really just makes you wonder. I know a lot of individuals, a lot of people out there doing similar thing have massive teams, or maybe not even a massive team, maybe just a really efficient team. I don't at this point. I'm kind of just doing this on my own and learning as I'm going. Um, yeah, so it's been a while again. Hope you guys hadn't been wondering where I went and been worried about me or anything, but I just really wanted to come back on and kind of let you guys know at least what the struggles of my practices have been going on, and kind of talk about when things do get rough in your life around anything, is how do you manage and how do you what do you start to prioritize? And I think it's important to think about those things. I didn't know a lot of these things were going to happen and how they happen and when they happen. It just really has put some stuff behind. I'm not going to talk too much about my personal life in this platform. Uh, if you're happy to, I'm happy to discuss it at another point. But mainly, uh, I wanted to talk about of the transitioning from one EHR system to another EHR system. And what I've come to realize in the past few weeks, months, is that all these EMR, EHR systems are trying to sell you a base package and then ultimately try to nickel and dime you for much more than what you've agreed to kind of pay. So, for example, you might sign up for their platform, but they might have an application that is a plugin for that platform in that software, and that might be another $10 per provider, $20 per provider, and if you want to do a voice dictation system that's not Dragon in their EHR, that might be another, $35 a month per provider. And it's just all these microscopic ways to nickel and dime you, or nickel and dime a practice. And I'm certain that a lot of individuals that just work at a practice aren't aware of this. If you're a medical student or a resident out there and you're using some of these softwares, ask them how much they're paying for the software and have it make sense to me why this is a thing. I'm not going to put these companies on blast directly on this, but it's ridiculous because all it really is a glorified documentation service that allows billing companies to bill and allow for insurance companies to deny your authorizations easier because they have something visually right in front of you, in front of them, or to get audited. I mean, who is benefiting from here? Because it's certainly not physicians. It's certainly not healthcare workers. It's certainly not the patients. Physicians and other practitioners spend more time dictating than we do with our patients. So, who is it actually benefiting at the end of the day? In my eyes, the only people that are benefiting are the EHR companies and the insurance companies. Um, Again, not trying to speak on conspiracies or that kind of thing, but I'm just kind of calling it how I see it, and I think it's pretty ridiculous. Um, I'm excited to join forces with some people I've been talking to the past few months to like, why aren't we doing a medical record system that's for physicians by physicians or for healthcare workers by healthcare workers, and take out all these other crazy things, especially if we're looking for merit based profit um, incentives. And you're using the EHRs like, oh, we hit this metric, this metric, this metric. That's what they want, these EH companies want to sell you on. But at the end of the day, what it actually shows is that you're more liable to be under scrutiny, and if you miss one of them, then you're gonna get in trouble. Um, there's a whole political side about this that's saying this was due to Obamacare, or this was due to this, that, or the other. I don't know. I don't know enough about it on the political side, but from my understanding, it wasn't Obamacare that did it. Per se. It was years of legislation before that kind of got wrapped up into the Obamacare bundle to allow it to roll out, and that can also be extended into a lot of these other problems we have in our current day. I think if you want to say anything, that might be the catalyst. But again, I'm not trying to be too political about this. I just want to, you know, I think people read a single article and they think they know everything about the whole topic. When I'm sitting here listening to podcasts and I'm reading books about these things and reading different perspectives. So, yeah, this electronic medical record system has been a massive failure for healthcare in America, um, especially because these platforms have no way to identify with one another or to communicate with one another. And that causes even more barriers for transitions of care. Or, you know, I quite often ask, what kind of procedure did you have with Dr. So and so? And they say, I don't know. Well, I understand, but like, you got to give me something because maybe they didn't do the right procedure for you. Maybe they did something that I would disagree with. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong in those scenarios, but, are we wasting our time if we do the same injection? Or is there something else that we need to try? I'm sure this goes across other specialties throughout the medical landscape. Um, yeah, so transitioning to EHR has been one thing that I've been tackling over the past few months. It really started in a conversation last year when I realized the first EHR I was using was not keeping up to the standards that I thought they want, that I thought I signed up for. And each time I got on the phone with them and talked to them, it was just kind of getting more and more like, sorry, I just work here. And that's a little bit of an inside joke of um, there are places that you go and there's an employee that certainly works there, and you go up to them and say, hey, do you mind helping me out with this? And they look up at you as like they can't be bothered for anything in the world. It's like, so the comment we always say is like, sorry, I just work here. Might be from a movie that I'm blanking on in my mind, but my buddies and I have kind of taken that joke to an extreme at this point. But yeah, that's what I feel like I was getting around to a point where I was getting upset with, my clinical correlating manager, and I said I need to talk to your supervisor, and the supervisor was even worse. So that was like enough for me. Like, all right, I'm spending too much money on things that I don't need, and you're messing things up, so I got to go. So everything on the lead up to the next conversation, I explained to the next EHR, this is kind of where I got screwed over in the past. These are the things I'm trying to avoid. These are the things that I don't want. And okay, great, understood. I talk to them, negotiate down, all that stuff that we normally do. Well, ultimately, come June, we were ready for go live, and the months leading up, the couple weeks leading up to it, all of a sudden, the exact same thing the first EHR company did, they came around and started saying the same thing, and they started nickel and diming me, and it's downright criminal what they like say and do, and what they try to offer you and promise you. They're not here to help physicians at all. They just want your money, and they want as much money as they can get, as often as they can get it. I still get phone calls from the old EHR asking me, "Hey, have you tried this new feature? This new feature?" It's like I'm done with your contract. Like we've been done. Um, it's similar in this new one. Is I oh you that we can definitely do that, and they act all like super pumped up that they can help you out. But then it's like, oh, it'll be an extra X amount of dollars per month. Okay, well, so that's one thing I've been dealing with. The transition has been overall fine, though. Um, it just takes time to figure out these systems and how the workflow can go smoother for your practice. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where we can take this EHR concept to the future and not have to spend thousands of dollars a year, tens of thousands of dollars a year, $1 million a year if you're a hospital um, on these EHR systems that don't do anything. Um, in that process, they want to have all these meetings and these trainings, and all of them have been largely a waste of time. I was thankful enough I have someone working in my company. Sorry, I'll take this back. The first time I did it, it took up so much time. I was spending so much time trying to implement this new system that I didn't have time for anything else. We're talking 3, 4, 5 hours a day outside of the patient care, and it was so grueling. I and it's not just simply, oh, here's a platform, go use it, like Google or a Google software or a Apple software device or Microsoft for that matter. They really make these things super complicated. And maybe that's how they justify their pricing. I don't know, but um, they say that they need to build out your templates. They need to build out your site, your practice management site. They need to build out your clinical way, and um, they need to get connected with your payers, your insurance companies that you're networked with, and the ones you aren't networked with. And they say that we need to wire all these things to the bank account, and we need to make sure that checks are clearing and all that stuff. And then, like at the end of the day, you're just like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I am certain that there's a faster and easier way to do all this without these hoops that you're making us jump through. So that's one of the missions that I'm on right now with some other individuals that I've been talking to over the past few months about that. Um, Around in the same time, I practice another hurdle. I could talk about the EHR thing all day. I have tons to talk about and say about it, and how all have pros and cons. I don't want to harp on a point that's I've kind of put out there already. And obviously, you can see it's giving me a little frustration. But I think the other topic I want to talk about this evening is, what happens when you are seeing patients and you're part of a network, and then all of a sudden you're not in that network anymore. What do you do? How do you backtrack and figure out, hey, what happened? What do you do when that contractor doesn't even respond to your emails or your phone calls? I'm like this close of driving up to them and saying, what is going on here, and why can't anyone answer me? Um, Ultimately, that's what happened. I was in network with a payer in the Central Ohio area, and I was no problems getting payments or anything. Um, and then all of a sudden, we started getting a bunch of denied claims. Physician is not network. Physician is not. So we go to the website, and this is what you need to do. You need to go to the websites of all the payers and attest that, yes, this is my name, this is my practice, this is my tax ID, my address, all that stuff. And this was part of, you know, a bigger act of, hey, we want to make sure that physicians are who they say they are and all this stuff, and not false advertising. Okay, I get all that stuff, whatever. But it kind of gets annoying because it's adding more work to the physicians. Like, wait, why do we have to go out and resubmit all of our information? Shouldn't you guys as insurance agencies be sending people out to us, or picking up the phone and talking to us instead of the other way around? Why do we have to submit that in case you forget, or in case the insurance company doesn't send you what they're supposed to send you, and then you get fall off their insurance? that conveniently happens, right? So, um, yeah, these insurance companies don't care at all. But I'm still seeing the patients. And the patients call me is, why do I have this big bill? And I tell them, it's like, listen, I don't know, but I would recommend you call your insurance company and ask them why they took me off their network. It's been suggested to me that, maybe I've missed a deadline. Maybe I didn't get a letter in the mail, or maybe I forgot to re-credential. It's like I double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked my past steps over this contract, and it's like it's all there. I email them and they have the wrong tax ID number. A tax ID number is essentially what the practice gets taxed through in the eyes of the IRS. It's the identification number of the taxes, right? Go figure. But what that means is essentially when you're applying for business, you need a tax ID number so you can appropriately bill and get taxed. Um, Ultimately, it looks like they had the completely wrong tax ID number for me. And this was after about 3 months of us trying to get a hold of them, 2 months of getting a hold of them. They finally sent an email correspondence. And then I like, hey, this isn't right. And those aren't the right numbers. Can I talk to somebody, please? And I haven't heard anything back ever since I told them that. And now you know, it's been suggested that this is a bigger problem than I'm making it out to be because, now patients are getting um, charges that they shouldn't. I'm not. I'm trying not to look at it in that lens right now. I just want to. Hey, I want to get my patients the care they need and do what I can for them. Yeah. So those two things have been occupying a lot of my time. Mainly the EHR transition and this medical insurance thing. Um, I, would also have to admit that like a lot of the things in my personal life have been limiting me on the hours that I can work on other things outside of work. So that contributes to a lot. Um, and like I said earlier, I'm so thankful that it's golf season that I'm actually able to do one thing that I enjoy doing without having to, think about work all the time. But hopefully, I've actually missed a lot of the summer and enjoyable things this summer because of some of these things I've needed to do. But things are finally kind of evening out and leveling out, which is a good sign, especially with conferences coming up, weddings coming up, and a lot of the things that I can kind of get back to enjoying and come back to work with a fuller focus and more preparedness and um, get back to some routines that help keep me and my mind uh, going in a positive upward direction. Um, the past week and a half have been really good for that because I've had time to sit down and do some reading that I've been neglecting that I've wanted to do for a long time. Now I get to sit down and start some of these videos again. And it was actually proposed to me from someone else is like, hey, I have a good idea of other types of videos that they want me to start producing. And I'm like, that's actually a fantastic idea, and that's something I'm gonna probably start working on um, over the next few months to years of and it'll just be shorter informational videos that can be widely displayed through different avenues, whether it be what I view stretching as in my stretching routine, or a certain exercise, or a certain biohack. Um, a lot of these things, mainly for educational purposes, answering questions that are commonly asked to me, um, clarifying things, demonstrating how we should be moving. And again, I'm not trying to speak as an expert as a kinesiologist or an expert of stretching and yoga, but I want to give tools to people out there that may benefit from some of the things that I'm looking at and looking over and how I view things. And I want it to be not for the attention and the likes and the all that stuff, but the goal would or the views, the goal would to be to like if I have a patient that's like, hey, so what do you recommend I do for this? And I had a patient, I was really upset. Like, oh, Dr. Verma went over knee exercises with me, but I couldn't remember them all when I got home. So, like, am I going to sit here and blame the patient that they didn't get better when it was actually my fault that I didn't give them concrete things to do? Even if I write them down, that translation of how I write it down for how they understand it could be a long way. So, at least in a video format, I can sit here and talk to them and talk someone through. At least they have some visual feedback as well as audio feedback. So, Um, I don't know when it's going to take off. Some other projects are going on right now. I'm hoping in the next few months I'll get back on the research train. I was excited about doing a project, but unfortunately I had to put that on hold. But yeah, hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, that things start going back in the direction where I can start producing these and put these videos back out there every week, and start getting re-engaged in communities that I've been kind of absent from recently, and real excited to see what the rest of the year brings. And I hope to bring some more value to everyone out there. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. All my information is in the link below, and I'll talk to you all soon. All right. Take care. Bye.